All right. Cool. Well, welcome to Seeker of the Unknown, everybody. I'm glad you guys are all here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Um, I know this Friday was going to be a little bit different because, like I said, I'm doing a little bit of moving around and doing some prep stuff. So it's not really, we're not in the studio and we're not uh, where I'm usually at. But um, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Just wanted to give a little introduction real quick to anybody who has not joined the podcast or has not seen the podcast before. Um, what we talk about here is a lot of controversial things to a lot of people. A lot of people that are not savvy to what a outside um, non-theorist, or as a lot of people who are not savvy to this would call them, conspiracy theories. Um, just wanted to let you know that this is probably going to be a lot of shocking stuff. Um, it might seem off the wall, it might seem weird, but trust me, everything that we talk about right now is a lot of stuff that has already been talked about before through different types of online plays. Like Alex Jones does a lot of stuff. Billy Carson does a lot of things on his show. If you watch Gaia, they talk about a lot of things. Secret Space Program. They talk about a lot of government, shadow governments, ops, black ops. Dr. Stephen Greer, who has been doing a lot of research and a lot of work for a long time um, to do an unacknowledged declassification of unacknowledged projects within the government, a lot of historical, independent, um, ancient technology research, ancient civilizations, ancient history, even history that has not been so old, like Tartaria. We talk about a lot of things from extraterrestrials, UFOs, UAPs, reverse engineered um, uh, technology that a lot of people would say is kooky. um, but when you look down these rabbit holes, as a lot of us have done, or you do your independent research by looking into these things, um, it opens up a broader spectrum of other information that just leads from one thing to another. With saying that, that my point of view from doing the podcast for over a year now, going on 2 years, coming up this December, um, my big thing was my whole outlook of things. Um, being a veteran, being a son of a veteran, being a grandson of a veteran, living in other countries, living with other cultures, uh, actually seeing these societies firsthand and how they live, and talking to them about their religions, and talking to them about what they say their people are descended from, where their people say that they come from, or seeing these sites that they can't explain, saying that, they tell us that in our past that these sky beings or these gods came down, or uh, these these bringers of wisdom taught us about a lot of this stuff, and this is where we got this from. So these are like holy sites, or these are like things that we hold sacred because it came from them and it was gifted to us, so we pass it on to future generations, whatever it may be. And seeing things, when I say seeing things, I mean what we know of as reality. And I'm not saying that, are we subconsciously in a simulation where my body's asleep and right now my mind is awake, and I'm just thinking that I'm alive because I live in an avatar, and if I fucking die that I wake up? No, I don't know. But a lot of spiritual insight and a lot of historical spiritual symbolism with cultures around the world suggest that maybe we are actually living in a simulation where life is just a simulation, that we are experiencing life in this journey, and we are going through this life experiencing it. And when we leave this plane, that we actually go and transcend back to what it is that we were before we entered into this life. And we either are able to come back and do it again, or we decide that we've had enough, we've learned our lesson. And if we haven't learned our lesson, we get sent back to try and relive that lesson and try and make it better, so that way we are not um, having bad karma, as it is, with different cultures, however they may interpret it. But as I said, that journey happened for me where I started seeing things, and I put the spiritual glasses on, and I call it a spiritual glasses, but I call it a frequency elevator, because I believe now, from doing a lot of this research, is that once your frequency has leveled itself, you see things on that frequency that other people are not able to see, or realize things for what they really are. And when you're able to do that, and you try and explain it to other people, they look at you like, the hell is this guy talking about? And for a lot of people who are at that frequency, when you have conversations of people who are like-minded and who are on that same frequency and are on that same vibration as you, they understand. Oh yeah, I get it. I totally. And then you're starting to have a conversation or a dialogue where you're not having to dumb down everything that you're talking about, and express yourself or word it so that way they're able to get it. They understand it. And when you're at that vibration, you see everything for what it really is. And I mean, your food, the government, when you wake up every day, religion, so many things that are happening. I don't know why this thing says episode 37 Friday year celebration. I don't know why. It's just doing its own thing. Let me look in here real quick. Like I said, I've just been having I sat here for a whole hour getting everything straight. Re-looking to the episode. No, I don't want that. If you guys are watching this on my main Facebook profile, switch over to Seeker of the Unknown, if you will, because I'm going to log off of that one. And you guys can just look at it on my my main profile. Re-look into the epic. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Right on. All right, so I'm on YouTube, Seeker of the Unknown on Facebook, and Seeker of the Unknown on X. And right now, Seeker of the Unknown on TikTok is going through its application process, I guess. I was on it a few weeks ago, and it decided that it was just going to go ahead and kick me off. So whatever. Anyway, so what is going on now here? Let me fix this. So what we are going to be talking about today is something that I have talked about before. And it is a subject matter that I love to speak about. I love talking about it because I love ancient history. I love ancient information, because if we know our history, and we know where we come from, at least knowing what happened in the past, we can understand and better realize that there was a lot of things that have happened or taken place that was hidden from us. And what I say hidden, I mean that we have not even, just yesterday, if you have not heard, they came out and said that they have discovered that underneath the pyramids of Giza, and I believe it's in the middle one, that they found underground structures that are holding up the pyramids, that are dug into the bedrock, of the limestone in the ground holding up the pyramids, which is very fascinating because this goes back into the whole thing of us knowing what we have always been told about man building these pyramids, and ancient theorists saying, no, these things were built by something or someone or peoples who came here long ago and built them for a purpose. We are now starting to see fruition of what the god Thoth was saying in the Emerald Tablets, that when men start to realize that their frequency and their vibration starts to become at a level where they are understanding and realizing what is being told to them in these ancient texts, and they're able to decipher it, and their frequency is at that level, that the secrets will be revealed to them because they have always been there. It's not like, oh, well, this structure that's underneath the pyramids, these foundations or these tunnels or these sarcophaguses that are generating power, it's not like they just showed up. They've always been there. It's just that we have tuned into what has been told to us for so long that people are starting to realize and wake up. Okay, there's a lot more to this than what we were led on to. So anyway, that's a little background of me. It goes deeper, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But what we are going to do is get into our intro, and we are going to go ahead and start the show. Welcome again. This is Seeker of the Unknown, and I'm Raul. Enjoy. All right. Well, welcome back to Seeker of the Unknown, episode 44, where we are going to be talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh and the original Trinity, Enki, Enlil, and the All-Father, Anu. So let's start it off. How many of you do know anything about what I'm talking about when I say the Epic of Gilgamesh? I know it's not something that they taught us in school. I know it's not something that they brought up and were like, I don't know what the hell that is, but it's creepy. Something's outside making this whining noise. It's weird. Yeah. But the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? In the Atra Hashish, in the story about the great king Gilgamesh, which you can find in the ancient Sumerian tablets, Gilgamesh was a ruler who lived in ancient Sumeria, and it was said that he was half god, half human. He was endowed with the powers of a god, and ruled over his people with such disdain for them being human beings, because he felt that he was above them. Now, when you see pictures of Gilgamesh, as I was showing on the podcast event page, when you see the pictures of him, he's depicted as this giant man of stature, 9 to 12 feet tall, possibly 14, maybe even bigger. He had amazing strength. He was able to kill a lion with his bare hands and would hold it like it was just a cat, a house cat. Um, he was a lover of women. He was an adulterer. He was really he was a narcissist. He was somebody who really boasted about himself. He thought he was better than everybody. He thought that because he was endowed with all these powers, that he could do whatever he wanted to do and get away with it. Because who's going to match him? Who's going to do anything to him? I'm just going through this real quick because, like I said, I've gone through this episode before in the past, and it got over 400, almost 500 views within a week or two, and it really took off. And it's something that I'm really interested in because I love this story. It is really, really amazing. And as you look at what is going on with Gilgamesh and what is happening, the gods Enlil, An, Anu, and Enki, the father Anu is really upset by how Gilgamesh is treating his people, how he's being very prideful. He's not really being a ruler of the people. He is being really a ruler of keeping his foot on the backs of the necks of his people by making them do his bidding and being um, this self-indulged ruler. So what happens is that Anu creates this or calls forth this beast, this creature who is called Enkidu. And who Enkidu is he is a half beast, half man, demigod, if you will, just to put it in short terms, that is a guardian of all living things in nature and in the wilderness and in creation. He's a guardian of creation, and he holds very high respect for everything that is living, and he sees it as his job to ensure that things are there's a balance between life and the spiritual world. That if it's living, you take care of it, you thrive it, it'll nurture you. It will also provide, if it is able to sustain you in the end, if you take care of it. So what they tell him is this: hey, look, we need you to go into the city. We need you to go down to the kingdom, and we need you to go take care of Gilgamesh because he's getting out of hand, and you're the only person that we think is going to be able to take care of him and get rid of him. So he's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll get rid of this guy. He sounds like he's a piece of crap. So what Enkidu does is he goes into the kingdom. He sees that he's observing, he's watching and seeing what's going on, because he's like, okay, well, let me, like I said, he's an observer. He makes sure that there's balance in everything that's happening. So he's watching and he's seeing what is happening with the people, and he's questioning them and he's asking them questions of, what's happening here, and these people are thrown off by him because you got to remember, I mean, he's a big guy too. And they're like, what is going on? And, who is this guy? And he sees Gilgamesh treating these people and doing things that he's doing to them, and taking these men's wives for his own and doing whatever he wants because he knows that these men are not going to stop him. How are they going to stop him? They're just normal men. He's a half god. Enkidu steps in and presents himself to Gilgamesh and tells him, I have been sent here to dispar you, to get rid of you. Your pride has led you to your end. Because of your arrogant ways, I am being sent here to get rid of you. And Gilgamesh is like, yeah, right, you're going to do what to me, So they start getting into it. They start a big battle. They start fighting, and they're matching blows for blows. They're going at it with each other. I mean, this is something that Gilgamesh was not anticipating because he's like, wow, this dude's bringing it to me. And he's giving out his all too to Enkidu, and they're whipping each other's ass here. I mean, they're going at it pretty good. It was said that it was such a ferocious battle that it was destroying the kingdom because they were literally taking an all-out war to each other throughout the kingdom. So long story short, Gilgamesh and Enkidu pretty much stop, and they say, look, hold on here. You were sent here to destroy me. I'm a half god. You're just sent. I obviously you're not going to kill me. I'm going to I will fight this thing out. I'm not gonna fall down to my knees. You're not going to end up falling to your knees because you too are matched in strength and ability, just like I am. So we've pretty much been fooled by these gods to sit here and fight each other when we should just be friends and we could rule this world together. Hey, look, I know what I was doing. Gilgamesh tells him, I know I was doing horrible things. I promise that I will stop being a tyrant. I will stop being I will stop being disrespectful to the human beings and the people that are in my kingdom. I will stop. And I've seen the errors of my ways. Let us just make amends. Be my brother. So him and Enkidu hit it off. They become the best of friends. They go on grand adventures together. They go on great hunts. They go and they see all these amazing sights together, and they take on all these foes together. Well, one day this demon is brought forth by Anu, and the demon is this great serpent from the netherworld. And there's different depictions or sayings of what this being is or what it was. It could have been a giant scorpion. It could have been a giant snake scorpion looking thing. But what happens is Enkidu and Gilgamesh go to fight this creature. Now, as they're fighting this creature, they start realizing that they might be overmatched here. It's two of them against this big creature. Yes, they can battle it, but it seems like it's starting to wear them down. And as they're going at it, they start trading off. Enkidu's like, hey, man, let's just trade off. I'll go first, and then you jump in when I start getting tired, and we'll start taking it. So they do that. Now, Enkidu goes in, and he's stepping in because he doesn't want to see Gilgamesh get hurt. So as he steps in, hold on. Okay. As he steps in to help Gilgamesh, he is struck down by this creature and is mortally wounded. Gilgamesh, seeing that his brother, his friend, his lifelong partner that he loves to death, has been struck down, and he is just in a rage. He goes berserk. He fucking butchers the shit out of this creature. I mean, he just decimates it, kills it, slaughters it, and once it's done killing it, he rushes over to his brother Enkidu and he holds him in his arms and he's telling him, please, please, please do not leave me. I cannot be left here on this plane by myself. I cannot face this life without you. You are my brother. You are my other half. You are my companion. I do not want to watch you die. I cannot have this happen. So this starts the Epic of Gilgamesh. What happens is that he ends up searching. He ends up burying Enkidu in this grand, lavish burial that is seen by millions all over in the empire during that time. But he is buried in a place where nobody knows but Gilgamesh where he is buried, because he does not want people to defile his body. He does not want people to come and do something to him or to desecrate his grave. So he hides him in a spot where only he is going to know where he is, so he can resurrect him, because the whole thing is that his search is for the answer to immortality. So he goes on this quest. He goes on this epic to find the answers of becoming immortal. Why? Because he wants to bring his brother back. He wants to raise him back from the dead. He wants to have him. He loves him. He misses him. He wants to be able to have his brother back at his side and live out their lives, because that was the promise that they made. They were going to stay by each other's side for life, and they did not want to be alone. So what the story goes to say in the tablets is that Gilgamesh goes and he's asking, and he's traveling the world, and he's asking people, I heard these stories, or has led me to this place. Do you know of where I can find the answers to immortality? People end up telling him, well, I heard in this far off place, or I heard from this person who was here. This is where you could find your answer. his search leads him, and this is the crazy part now. And remember, all of this took place thousands of years before the Old Testament of the Bible. And what happens is Gilgamesh is led to this area where somebody has told him, if you search for a man named Utnapishtim, you will find that he holds the key to what it is that you are searching for. Now, this astounds Gilgamesh because he's like, finally, after all this time and all this searching, I am finally going to get what I am searching for. I am finally going to get the answers and be able to resurrect my brother and bring him back to life. We can now live together. I can be able to live out my life in peace. So he ends up searching and he finds Utnapishtim. Now, a little background of Utnapishtim. In the tablets, in the creation tablet, and in the Great Deluge tablets, the story of the Great Deluge. Now, if you don't know what the Great Deluge is, this is the Great Flood story. And as I said, remember, this story took place at least 3,000 to 6,000 years before the creation of the Bible. Okay? I'm going to walk through this. Utnapishtim, in the creation story, was told, he was instructed or warned by the gods, Enki, that there was going to be a flood that was coming, that he needed to construct a ship. And on this ship, he was going to need to bring one of every living creature. Actually, it says the essence of these creatures onto the ship, so that way they would survive. Now, when you look at the word essence, it means the eternal, what something is made of, what it actually is. Like the essence of who we are, you could say it's our DNA, it's our soul. It makes us who we are. So in the tablets, this wording of bring the essence of these creatures onto the ship, so that way we can resurrect them when the time comes and they could survive. It makes you think back to this whole story of the Ark of Noah in the Bible. Just the names were changed. Just the time span of what the dimensions of the ship were, because in the great tablets of the Great Deluge, we find that the ship was actually square. It was a box. It was a cube that was erected by Utnapishtim and his family to get onto and take the essence of these creatures onto the ship. Now, what I believe, and like I said, I'm going to dive into a lot of stuff. So we're going down rabbit holes here. And this is one thing that happens when you start looking into or researching a lot of this stuff, is that one thing leads to another. And you're like, okay, if this creation story led to this and this and this and this, and this is thousands of years before what we have all been told. And now you've got the story of the Great Deluge of this man named Utnapishtim, who is actually the Bible version is called Noah. They just worded it differently, and they just put, instead of Enki or Anu, actually it was Enki who warned them. In the Bible, it was God who warned the people, or warned Noah to build the ark. And as I said, this is thousands of years before that took place, and the Bible adapted this story because of the correlation between where the Old Testament came from. Okay? Like I said, hold on to your seats, because this is going to get deep. Where the Old Testament comes from, they just passed down the stories to the ancestors through the tribes, from the descendants of these people. This is where we came from. This is where our ancestors got this. This is how the thousands of years they talked about a flood, or the gods Enki, Enlil, and Anu, and the Anunnaki who came from the sky, and all this stuff was changed. It was worded differently. Different names, different factors were erased from history. But when you look at the tablets that are literally there, the cradle of civilization, describing every single thing, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the creation story, the Great Deluge, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, Anu, Enki, and Enlil, the original Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the other Son. But one of them was to help humanity, the other was to destroy them. And that's a whole nother story, but we're going to get into that later on. So now you have Gilgamesh talking to Utnapishtim, and he's asking him, I heard that you hold the key to the secret of immortality. And he says, what do you mean? Who told you this? Why are you seeking this knowledge? Who are you to come and ask me for this? And Gilgamesh tells him, do you not know who I am? I am a half god. I am the great ruler of this kingdom. And I have heard, because I have a friend who I love and I hold very dear, and I do not want to lose him. I will go to the depths of the earth for him to find this answer. So Utnapishtim sits him down and they talk for over a long period of time, for whatever it is, days, weeks, months. And Utnapishtim is telling him the story of how he became to be immortal. And he gives him a story of the Great Deluge, of what happened. And he says, I was given a dream. The gods came to me and they told me our God, who they thought was one of the gods, because like if something came from space or came and gave you knowledge and showed you this great power, yes, you would have probably thought it was a god. You would think it was Jesus Christ, the Son of God coming down to help you or do something. You would wig out because you couldn't explain it. How else could you explain it? But this person was a god doing all this miraculous stuff. So these creatures, these beings came and they told him, Enki warned him and told him, there is going to be a great flood that is going to wipe out civilization because my brother has seen the wickedness of the people and does not want them to live. And as I said, this has taken place thousands of years before the Old Testament story. It was just adapted by them, and wording and everything changed. Utnapishtim said that he was given dimensions, and it gives the dimensions in the tablet, just like it says in the Bible. How to erect the ship, what to build it with from, how to water seal tighten it. And it is telling him, you need to bring the essence of each living creature, a male and a female. Collect the essence of these beings and bring it to the ship so that way it will survive. So that way when the deluge is over, will be able to recreate them. In other words, saying bring them back to life. Reanimate the essence of these creatures. And if you look back at the creation story in the ancient Sumerian tablets about the Anunnakis, Enki, Enlil, and Anu, and the other gods who followed after them from the planet Nibiru, and their creation of human beings. The Adam story, and I shit you not, this blew me away, because when I looked into this and I researched it and I saw and I read the translations, or I watched the Anton, who actually translated the tablets for the first time and read them verbatim and said, we missed wording here, or there was a mistranslation. That doesn't actually mean that, it means this. It made sense. People started looking at this and said, holy shit, we need to start realizing that what we all thought was original from biblical text narratives is actually something that was adapted by the same ancient Sumerians from the Anunnaki thousands of years before. So if we are actually seeing this taking place thousands of years before, it is not an original epic creation story from the Bible. It is actually an adaptation of something that was much older, and we are reading it from the mouths of the people who adapted this story and passed it on. All of this stuff culminates together. And I say this because when you go down this search, this rabbit hole journey, you start being aware of everything that is happening around us. And it makes sense why people would want to open themselves up or actually follow this, because once you start going down this hole, and once you start going down this realization that everything that we have been told has been a lie, everything that we thought we knew to be true is not true. It is not factual. And everything that we have learned, everything that has been put into our brains about anything has now got to be relearned. We've got to realize and relearn everything that we thought we knew, because once you do that and you see where this all comes from and who we are and why we were placed here, it makes sense. So going back to Utnapishtim, him telling them that the Anunnaki, the fathers, Enki, told him to build this ship. The great flood came. The reason why the flood came is because of this. Enlil, who was Enki's brother, hated humanity. He wanted to keep them enslaved. He saw that humanity was becoming too enthralled with itself. It was becoming too powerful, too knowledgeable, too prideful. They were becoming more stable on being able to take care of themselves. They didn't need the gods anymore. They shunned them. And he said, I am going to destroy them. I am going to send a flood to wipe them out. I'm going to decimate this land. I'm going to kill them. They have done things. They have tampered with knowledge that is beyond their recognition, which means that they were messing around with nature. They were crossbreeding species. They were doing things with species that was not supposed to be done, because they were given this knowledge by them. Enki was trying to help them with scientific fact. He was helping them. He was telling them, I will give you the knowledge of how to create and sustain yourself. I will give you the knowledge of agriculture. I will give you the knowledge of science and being able to work medical abilities and heal your guys' self, and to create medicines that will help sustain you holistically from the earth. If you take care of the earth, it will take care of you. I will help you to live in harmony with where you are. Take care of yourselves. He would give them knowledge of these spiritual ideas and these aspects of where and how they came to be, so that way they could progress. Some of the people who were on the earth decided to take that knowledge and distort it and make weapons and start killing other people and start ruling over other people in a manner that was not meant for humanity to be this way. So now you start seeing that Enlil, who despised human beings already in the first place since they were created, did not want to have anything to do with them. So this was his chance to get rid of the creation that he had. And I'm going to take a break real quick and just give a shout out to the supporters of the page. If you guys have not already seen it on the post I did earlier, this is going to be our merch that we are going to have. I'm not sure if it's going to lead. I hope this is the right link, but if it is not, then I will go ahead and let me see. Let me take a picture of it and see if it works. No, it is not. Stupid. I will get that fixed, and then I will get it over to where I can the merch If you guys want to get in on that and you want to order the merch, I will put the link in and then we'll get it taken care of, and you guys can order your hats. You guys will be able to you guys will be able to get hats, hoodies, shirts. They will come in any color that you want to get, but right now we have black, gray, smoke gray, hats, hoodies, shirts, and regular sweaters if you guys would like to get them. So having said that, let's get back into what we were talking about. The Epic of Gilgamesh and him talking to, and him telling the story of what was going on, the background in Enlil. Now, as I said before, Enlil did not want to do anything. He did not want to have anything to do with humans. He hated them. He despised them. He thought they were an abomination to his father, Anu. And he knew that once the human beings started getting a lot of power, that they were going to abuse it. And this was just his way of stepping in and saying, okay, I'm going to handle this. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to take care of these human beings. And we are just going to lay them to waste and start over. Enlil goes and warns Utnapishtim, and he tells him about what is going to happen. Utnapishtim then states to he knew that once the human beings started getting... Utnapishtim states to Enlil, well, how will I know this is all going to happen? He says, you will know and we will warn you. There will be signs from the sky. And the signs that he was talking about is the rains were going to start coming. It was going to start raining. But the water didn't just come from the sky. It came up out of the earth. There were floods of waters that came up. The rivers started overflowing. The oceans and the lakes started filling up and flooding the areas. And anything that was under elevation just started getting decimated. People started getting killed. So as he got done building this ship, this ark, if you will, and started getting the essence of all of these beings and these creatures into the ark, he, and what I say is by the essence, I mean, think about it. I do not foresee him building this big old giant ship and gathering and going all over the world and gathering up every single animal. I believe that all the animals were there. I believe, get out of here. I believe that all the animals were there. I believe that what he did is scientifically took the blood or the DNA of each and one of these animals that he could get his hands on, and he started storing them in these stasis chambers, and was just holding on to them until this flood was over, so that way they could be reanimated and be remade again. Because we see a shift in these beings and these creatures that people are saying, well, you know, dinosaurs didn't live at the time of human beings. Well, I beg to differ, because science is now finding that when you started digging and they were finding these dinosaurs that should not have been together, they were actually finding them at the same level as Homo sapiens. And that should not be, because if they were living at two different time periods, or thousands or millions or billions of years ago, why are they laying next to these other dinosaurs that were supposedly supposed to be extinct, or at the same extinction level as human beings? They're finding these bones of these human beings either with them or on the same level. So going back to that, after the flood starts and Utnapishtim and his family are set and they are on this ship and the ark, it does not rain in the tablets for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, you see this in historica. I'm thinking of Jewish Torah and Kabbalist teachings of the number of 40 days, 40 nights. Jesus walked in the desert. 40 years Israel wandered in the wilderness. Yada yada yada. Okay, 40 is their number. It's a Kabbalist number, a sequence that they use. So it would be only right for them to use it in these narrative stories that they just adapted from these old stories and said, oh, well, it'd be 40 days that it rained. Okay, that sounds good because it goes into our thing, you know, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, in the Great Deluge story, what happens is this. It is said to rain only 7 days and 7 nights. That's it. 7. It doesn't go on for fucking months. Okay? You know, a month, 2 months, 3 months. It's only 7 days. After the rains subside, after the flooding subsides, the ark comes to rest on a high place where Utnapishtim and his family are able to leave. Enki then comes to him and says, actually, this is what happens. Anu finds out, and he brings the council together, and he calls his sons, and he asks, what has happened? What is going on here? Who authorized this? Who gave the okay? Who the hell did this without coming to me and asking me if this was authorized? Enlil steps up and says, I felt that it was in the best interest to do this because I saw that they were corrupt, they were abolishing, and they were devastating, and they were twisting everything that we had given them for the worst. So I took it upon myself to wipe them out, but we did save one person who was of worthiness, and he did help us to gather the essence of all creations with his family and has made it through the flood. So Anu tells him, you go down and you make this right with him and make a covenant with him, a binding to him that says that we will never do this again to our creation. This shit blew me away when I learned this, because I'm like, wow. If these guys didn't fucking take it word for word and just twist everything around, it shocked me. Because here you have the Allfather, Anu, telling Enki or Enlil to go down there and tell Utnapishtim to make a pact with him to make amends and tell him that we will no longer cause this kind of devastation on earth to our creation again. Sounds kind of familiar, right? Right. So now you have Enlil going down with his brother Enki. Anu is overseeing this whole thing. And he's telling him, look, I am sorry that this happened. I did what I did. I have come to make amends and peace and bring a covenant between you and I, that your bloodline from this moment on will be the bloodline of all men on this earth. And what does he do? He gives him a plant that will allow him to live forever. He gives him eternal life. That is his covenant between him and the Allfather Anu to make it right. So all the offspring of everybody on the planet comes from him. The essence of who we are started from him. Yes, did it come from Adamu, who in the ancient Sumerian texts were the creation of the Anunnaki sky gods? From Anu, who said, let us make this creation in our image. Let us make them like us. Let us give them our essence, so that way they will be able to do things of free will and work for us on this planet. Because you got to remember, there has never been another species like us on this planet. We see variations of the species of sapiens, but nothing like Homo sapiens themselves. Why? Because of our gene factor. Because there is a gene that was implanted in us to make us totally different. Scientists cannot explain it, but they know that there is something with this gene that has made humankind absolutely different from everything else on this planet. because we see that we are close cousins to apes, but we're not genetically exactly like them. And now we are seeing it in the tablets of them speaking about how we were brought into this world and how we were created from the Anunnaki and the sky gods, from genetic alterations in Edom. And the first person, they named him Adamu. Like I said, when you see this, and it is the the verbatim wording, it will blow your mind. My whole outlook and the way I look at everything that I've been told growing up just went out the fucking door. Don't come and tell me that this person created us and this person came and did this and yada, 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 because I'm looking at texts that are thousands of years older than these people. And this is who they're saying came down and created humankind. And now you're saying that the Anunnaki who have been here helped in surviving a race of humans from this deluge that would further carry that genetic DNA to the rest of the world, the future generations, because he was the last surviving genome of that race. They gave him immortality to be able to descend his DNA to everybody. So here we have Gilgamesh, who is in awe of this story and is just baffled because he's like, wow, thank you for this knowledge. Thank you for this information. I will use this to better not only myself, but my people. I will help us to thrive. I will help us to be the greatest nation in the empire in the world has ever seen. He is given this knowledge by Utnapishtim. And now what happens is when he comes back and he lives and he fulfills out his years, he is given the knowledge of stasis regeneration, because it says that he is placed in a grave, an unmarked grave, where he will sleep until the time is ready for him to be reawakened. And I say this because if you do not, or you have not watched my past episodes, I talk about how in 2003 in the Middle East, in Iraq, I believe, they found a stasis chamber of what they believe to be Gilgamesh and Enkidu. This blew me away because when I was in Iraq and I saw this and it came across, and I was, YouTube in its infancy at the time, was just coming out and a lot of upstreaming and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's some real life looking shit. Nobody took it for fact. But now researchers, there's people that have come out and said, yes, there's a new video that shows them actually flying into the country, flying to the site of where the grave was found, them going into the cave, finding the burial chamber of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, taking the sarcophagus out of the ground, opening the stasis chamber, and examining the bodies. And when they opened it up, the body was like it was somebody who was just sleeping, of this giant being with this long beard, with a crown of gold on his head, with these relics inside of his coffin. Underneath this, it looks like a philosopher's stone sheeting over the top of it, of the sarcophagus. And this being's skin, he looks just like a depiction of what you would think that Gilgamesh would look like, just older. Wavy hair, long, curly, matted beard. His hair, because he's in stasis sleep, has just grown out longer. And one of the beings, you can see that his eyes are open and they're like silver. his eyes are shining. They're open. I don't know if he is actually awake, but he's in stasis sleep. The other being, which I believe is Gilgamesh, was in fact had his eyes closed, and you could still see his beautiful eyelashes, his beard, his mustache are black. His hair is long all the way down to his chest, hanging over his shoulders. He's got golden relics in his coffin as well. He's got Sumerian writing tablets that are inside, made out of gold, that are inside of his sarcophagus. I don't know if it's tablets that are instructions on, if you find this body and you find it within this time or whatever, this is who I am, an information sheet. I don't know. Nothing ever came back out of it, but people have looked into this. Whistleblowers have came out and actually said that, yes, this has happened. It did happen at this time. They do have the bodies in stasis cryo right now because they are taking DNA samples and running samples and to see what the anomalies they have found in these beings' blood stream and their DNA. And as I said before, and anything that the government, these shadow governments have done, their thing is technology, knowledge, and to be able to have a hand up in anything that they recover. They are not going to want to put this out there and say, oh, yeah, well, we have this, because somebody's going to want to get their hands. It's like the movies when you see things where these spies are going in and they're trying to infiltrate these places, and then somebody who's working for this country or that country or this black market or whatever steals this stuff and takes it. And now you have this information, this technology, and this knowledge that's out there in the hands of these people, and God knows who or what they are going to do with it. But it has been closed knit for so long, but eventually nothing stays secret, nothing stays hidden, and nothing stays covered for long. So we now know that the sarcophaguses and the grave sites of Enkidu and Gilgamesh have been found, and they have been in the hands of these government officials, these scientists, working to try and find an answer as to why they have been here and what they are doing here. As well as I said, the information that we have received from the tablets on the Epic of Gilgamesh, and knowing who he is, where he came from, how he was created, who created him, and leading it back into the narrative of the Great Deluge and the Atra Hashish and the creation story of human beings, it makes sense. It is an eye-opener to anybody that has long since looked for information and knowledge, because as I said, you can look and say that you are happy with knowing everything that you think you know. But if you keep your mind frame in a box and you just keep your blinders on, and you just think that, oh, well, I'm just going to believe this narrative that I have always been told, or I'm just going to take this information that I have been told as factual without taking any outside accountability to what other people have always said, and just say, oh, well, that's just hearsay, that's heresy, that's not of God, and it's just the devil's work, just trying to lead you away from what he has planned for your life. Fine. That's okay. That's not what I'm trying to tell anybody, that you have to take this for my word. All I'm saying is that I would like you to take this and look at it for yourself. Do your own research. Do your own due diligence, please. And if this is something that has sparked interest in you with anything that I talk about on the podcast, anything that I bring up on this channel, and you can say for yourself that, wow, I have always thought something was up, or I have always felt fascinated by this, or I have always thought, man, I need to look into this, then please, please, please look into this stuff. Because once you start realizing that not everything that we have known or everything that has been told to us, it's not factual. It is not the truth. It is not something that The people who are in control and who have power would want anybody to say, oh, yes, why they would want to keep it hidden. You understand why, because it takes control out of their hands. It takes control away from their narrative of getting people to abide by what they want to keep us under control with. And I'm not saying that, people's faith-basedness is a lie. By all means, keep walking your walk. But I'm not going to walk blindly myself into something because somebody else is telling me that it is right. This is it. This is the only way. This is the only thing that is true. There is nothing else out there for you. This is it. No, there isn't. There is always more to the story. And if you dig deep enough, and if you research enough, and you look into things hard enough, you will find for yourself that everything has a different meaning. There is more to the story than what we know. So, having said that, I hope that everybody has enjoyed this episode. I hope that it has brought some insight into looking into different narratives that will cause you to do your own due diligence and your own research. Please do. Please take a look for yourself. Do not just take my word for it. Go out there, look up books, find somebody or get in touch with somebody who lives in the Middle East. Take a trip to the Middle East. Take a trip to Egypt. Take a trip to ancient Sumer. Okay? Do these things and see it for yourself. Once you step outside of your comfort zone and you take blinders off and you say, okay, I'm going to look at this different angle. I'm going to see the bigger picture. Trust me, you will start to understand, just as so many of us have done for a while now. And we are starting to see the truth and the reality of what is going on, who we are, why we're here, and how we as society in this world can better ourselves if we do not let those who have the control keep us in control, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Okay? Our mind, our spirit speaks to our mind and allows us to become and do things and better ourselves, to better our bodies, physically and spiritually. But we can't do that if we don't raise our elevations and we don't raise our frequency. We can't better each other if we don't raise each other's frequency and raise each other's vibrations. We can't better our world if we do not raise the vibration and the elevation of each other's vibrations and frequencies together without getting the word out to everybody and telling everybody we were made for something much more than this. We were made for something that was far better than what we are allowing them to give us. We as a human race have been made for something that is more grander than what we were designed for and what we are living in now. Our plan and our purpose for everybody on this plane was to be a part of the universal plan. And those who have been in control have taken that from us by hiding and concealing this knowledge and this information from us for thousands of years. The great wars that have taken place. We have the Inquisitions, the witch trials, the suppression of information and knowledge during those times, and the people who were being chased and murdered and silenced because of them speaking about things that were not what the church wanted, or not what these government officials who were under the rule of thumb were allowing them to say or being able to speak. And it is really sad. It is really heart-wrenching to see it from that angle when you realize what was really going on. They were hiding this knowledge and information. The great halls of Alexandria being destroyed. I don't believe that everything was destroyed. I just believe that the site was destroyed, wiped out. I believe that the knowledge and information was hoarded and stored in a central place to keep it hidden, so that way mankind in the future would not know the true nature of what was going on and what was being done, or who they are, or what we are. The true essence of knowledge and the great halls underneath the Great Pyramid. Now we are seeing that Thoth in the Emerald Tablets was speaking of these halls that are underneath the pyramids that contain all of the information of humanity. These are the grand halls of Alexandria. These are the grander halls that are far bigger than Alexandria. And we have seen that in the last 2 days, scientists have made a discovery that there is actually structures underneath the pyramids in the bedrock of the earth. This is a new chapter of information that is going to just blow the history books out of the water. We are going to enter into a new age of knowledge, of information that is an awakening for a lot of people who are elevating themselves to this knowledge base and helping others to actually raise themselves up mentally and spiritually to see past all of this nonsense that we are living in this life. I think the fruition to what Thoth was saying in the Emerald Tablets of people being at that vibration of being able to elevate themselves once we start getting to that point where they are able to read the signs because they understand and they see it for the knowledge that they have been seeking. The knowledge and the information will be given to them. This is very amazing times that we are living in, and I am so glad to be able to share this information and this knowledge with everybody, and to put those seeds of information that if you too have been wondering what is and why it is that you feel that something else is different, that you will get out there and please do your due diligence, do your due research. Do not just take my word for it. Get out there and look it up for yourselves. There is so much more to this life than what we have been told. And I hope that this has sparked some interest in you. And I hope that you put this information out there for all to see. I thank you for coming along on this journey of Seeker of the Unknown, episode 44, where we have talked about the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Holy Trinity, the original Holy Trinity, the All-Father Anu, his sons Enki and Enlil, the creators and the masterminds of what we now know are the archetypes for the human race, and for the progression of humankind on this planet that they have replenished and made Eden for their creation to survive. So with that, I'm going to say thank you all. Many blessings to everybody who is out there. I hope you all a safe weekend. Have a blessed weekend. Enjoy it with your friends and your family and your loved ones. And remember, death is not the end. It is only the beginning. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone. And remember, always question everything. Never take anybody's word for it. Do your own research, do your own diligence, and seek the information and the knowledge on your own. Welcome to Seeker of the Unknown, and I hope this was grand for you, and I will see you guys next Friday. Have a good one. Safe wishes. Many blessings.